Morning, day, and night, the near-daily protests against the government and for a ceasefire now continue throughout Israel. And in the halls of power, negotiators continue to work to reach a deal. An Israeli negotiating team will be flying out this week for ongoing talks with Egyptian, Qatari, and American mediators. On Monday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israeli National Security Advisor Tzachi Hanegbi and Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer and confirmed Israel's commitment to reaching a ceasefire deal.
Specifically, they talked about what some of the remaining sticking points are. As the president announced last week, we have reached a framework agreement, but there are still a number of issues that need to be bridged. And so the secretary talked about practical solutions that we have in mind for how to bridge those differences and get to a final agreement. They talked about plans for the day after the conflict and how to establish governance and security in Gaza.
This comes after days of uncertainty over whether or not Hamas had pulled out of the negotiations following the IDF's attempted assassination Saturday of one of Hamas's most senior commanders, Mohammed Deif, the terror group's military chief. According to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, 90 people were killed in the attack, and Israel still awaits confirmation of whether Deif was killed. Hamas saying he survived and that they're still engaged in the ceasefire talks.
So one of the things the secretary did when he met with Ron Dermer and the National Security Advisor Hanegbi earlier today was to express our serious concern about the recent civilian casualties in Gaza. As I've noted before, we have seen civilian casualties come down from the high points of the conflict and even from where they were, say, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, but they still remain unacceptably high.
Israel on Monday struck Gaza again in a continuous effort to dismantle and put pressure on Hamas. But many, both Israelis and Palestinians, have had enough. In democratic Israel, the public can protest on the street. In Gaza, desperate Palestinians talk to the press.
It's been 10 months. We're exhausted, we're devastated, we are extremely tired, our patience is over. Whether Hamas or Israel, they need to agree as soon as possible.
Talks are carrying on at various levels. One key issue is the question of the withdrawal of Israeli soldiers from Gaza's border with Egypt. Last Friday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he insists that Israel remain on the Philadelphia corridor. But behind closed doors, Israel and Egypt are reportedly discussing potential solutions. While this round of talks does seem to carry more optimism than previously, officials say there are still obstacles, but at the moment, they're not insurmountable.